Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Belize Investment Summit 2025 stage, Elizabeth Roberts, Managing Director of Infrastructure and Energy at IDB Invest.
Thank you. Thank you so much for staying until Friday afternoon. And I could just send you all the presentation in an email, I guess, but I'm going to go through it. I think it's worthwhile. I'm not sure how to get it started here. I'll start it. So I'm the Managing Director for Infrastructure and Energy for IDB Invest. IDB Invest is part of the IDB Group, Inter-American Development Bank, a multilateral development bank for Latin America and the Caribbean. IDB lends to governments with a guarantee from the government, and IDB Invest is the private sector arm investing with private sector companies to promote all kinds of investments in our member countries. It's pretty good. So just a little bit of context, we see infrastructure more and more being used as a tool by governments to promote economic development and economic growth. And so there are many examples of this. I have a few here. The Inflation Reduction Act in the US was one example. In India, they have National Infrastructure Pipeline. In the UK, the British Infrastructure Task Force, looking to create economic growth, entrepreneurial activities, growth in GDP and jobs. It's really a tool being seen more and more as a tool for governments to promote these goals. We also see at IDB Invest, these are goals that are consistent with our mandate as a development bank. Some of the main trends we see in infrastructure are decarbonization, digitalization, demographic changes. These trends are pushing investments in infrastructure, driving what's being invested in infrastructure, and we see them being very aligned with our goals as an institution to promote energy security, bolster sustainable growth, and reduce poverty and inequality. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we don't have too much time, but we just see infrastructure as a very strategic sector for us. There is a massive gap in the region in the infrastructure investment. These are numbers that were estimated by IDB for 2030, approximately $2.2 trillion of infrastructure gap in the investment needed. You can see it's divided by sector and by region, and so the challenge is to mobilize investment. There's not enough public investment to cover this gap. There has to be a significant portion of it coming from the private sector. And that's really the job that we see, what IDB Invest is trying to do, help channel private investment in infrastructure to help fill these gaps. What we see in the region, as you've seen historically, there hasn't been the level of investment, relative to GDP as there have been in other regions of the world. And so that gap exists, and we're looking to try to fill that. IDB, as I just mentioned, part of the IDB group, and we have, at IDB Invest, we have infrastructure, as I mentioned. We also cover corporates. We have a whole team doing tourism. We work in mining. We work in agribusiness. We work in financial institutions. We have all kinds of partnerships with different types of clients that we work with. So really any sector you can think of, we really do cover. And we also provide many different types of financial products and as well as advisory services to help our clients move forward, which would be technical advisory services with knowledge as well as financial advisory services to help pay for certain investments. This is just another summary of that. In terms of our products and services, just to give you a very quick summary, we tend to provide long-term loans in US dollars, but we also have local currency in a number of countries. We have Mexican pesos, we have Brazilian reais, we have long tenors, we have other products that we're using, which are guarantees. We help promote the issuance of bonds. Much of the capital that's being raised now for infrastructure is coming from institutional investors, which are, not like a bank. It's an insurance company perhaps, or some other type of institutional investor, and we can help mobilize that and help bring that into projects. All kinds of investors, and these are the sectors, as I mentioned, that I don't know if I mentioned actually, energy, water and sanitation, transportation, and social infrastructure that are covered by the team that I lead. Social infrastructure includes health and education mainly, is where we're focusing. And one of the things that we find in the region why that gap in the infrastructure investment exists is because there aren't enough projects. There aren't enough bankable projects. There are a lot of investors looking to invest, but we need more bankable projects. And so this is trying to give an example of how IDB and IDB Invest work to create opportunities with our clients to make projects happen. We have IDB strengthening government institutions, working on putting in place legal and regulatory frameworks that promote investment in the country, having a whole PPP team, which I'll talk about a little bit. IDB is doing all of these things. IDB Invest provides specific grants to clients, loans to clients to help finance their projects, bankability assessments, financial advisory services, all kinds of things. And then we work with our clients, which include state-owned entities, local investors, institutional investors. All of these are international investors. All of these are our clients that we're working with to bring the projects from this initial phase, which might be just an idea of a government. Most infrastructure projects start as an idea of the government, all the way to being an implemented project with an investor that may be a local investor, maybe an institutional investor, or international investor, pardon me. We do have a PPP team, and I think Dennis, I don't know if he's still here, there he is, member of our PPP team, working explicitly with governments to help develop public-private partnerships, which includes putting in place a PPP law, bringing into, helping organize and put in place a competitive process and do all the technical studies required to develop a PPP for a highway, for example, for an airport, for example. These are the types of things that we help governments put in place the framework so that the maximum amount of private investment will come into the project and support the project. So we have the ability to work with governments and do that within IDB. This is some of the accomplishments of the PPP team, which are very, very important. But I want to talk more specifically about a few examples of things we've done that I think are relevant and things that we think could be, replicated in Belize. We did a loan for the University of the West Indies recently, where we are helping them finance their online learning program, their expansion of that, and $11.5 million of financing. We also helped them finance we did a grant resources to finance a market study. And we helped them improve their corporate governance because they really had to be, modernize a little bit of their corporate governance to be able to take on a loan of that size to help pay for this. But they're looking to increase the size of this online program and reach many, many more students all over the world with this. Just one example, the National Gas Company of Belize is a client of ours that we help them finance their LPG terminal. This was something where they also have local bonds that were issued, but we provided $6 million loan for that as well. We have a number of other initiatives we're working on in Belize, including with BEL, the energy company here. So we do know the country, and we're really eager to do more, but this is one example. Also in energy, JPS in Jamaica, we did a couple of years ago a $100 million loan to JPS, which is the national utility of Jamaica, to help them strengthen their grid, investing in transmission, distribution, lowering technical losses, trying to insulate the company from the impact of fossil fuel volatility. And something with smart meters, we helped them install. So this was a very meaningful investment that we did in Jamaica as one example. We also financed in Guatemala recently a 100% private toll road, which is not a model you see very often. No PPP, no concession. It's just a private investor that decided to build a road. And we financed that 100% traffic risk, 22-year loan. So we really have an appetite for risk, and this is a very exciting project that will be constructed by the first quarter of 2026, and will reduce traffic time by hours during certain congested parts of the day in Guatemala. And we also help them achieve a certification for sustainability for the project as well. And so it's a project we're very proud of. This is an example of a project that we're working on in Panama. I wanted to give you an idea of how we're trying to make, working with IDB to try to make projects bankable. It's, you know, in Panama, the water company is not, you know, financially self-sustaining, and so, which is true in a number of water companies in the region. And so working with IDB, they need to make investments. They want to make investments in you know, water treatment facilities. So IDB comes in, provides a, you know, the government basically goes in, hires a company to do the construction company to do a particular work, build this water treatment facility. They can't pay them with money, so we give them the money to pay the company, and the government issues certificates that are payable over time, let's say over 5 years. We purchase the certificates, and that's how we're repaid over a period of 5 years. The construction company gets paid up front, and we're the ones taking the risk of the entity to pay over time. IDB, meanwhile, is guaranteeing the obligations of this entity, the water company, so that all, you know, IDB Invest and the other lenders that are purchasing those certificates can actually be repaid, feel confident of being repaid. So it's an idea of how IDB and IDB Invest can work to create multiple opportunities in a sector. This is something that we're doing in a number of countries in various sectors: energy sector, water and sanitation, and it's worked quite well. Just a few conclusions to tie up the discussion. I think it's important to not think about infrastructure investment as being either public or private. There's so much to be done that there's space for everyone. It has to be and, not or, in terms of public and private infrastructure investment. We are very much in a growth mode at IDB Invest. We have a $3.5 million recapitalization last year from our member countries, and so we are eager to do more in Guatemala and Belize, and wanting to talk to investors for projects of all sizes, whether it be a huge project or a very small project. In infrastructure, we want to be able to support, and we really are interested in talking to you. We have expertise, we have financial resources, human resources, knowledge that we can share to help bring the project to the point of being bankable. We're very patient. What we want is the project. We want that successful project in the end and the impact that it has. So that's our goal, and I appreciate your time to hear about IDB Invest.